Shohei Ohtani, the first $700 million man in baseball history, a World Series champion, multiple MVP winner, a global icon, and perhaps the greatest two-way player baseball has ever seen. But what if I told you none of this was supposed to happen? There was a time when baseball itself rejected his dream. Not because he wasn't talented, but because his dream sounded impossible. Every coach, every scout, every expert believed the same thing. Choose one. Become a pitcher or become a hitter. Because nobody could ever become both. They were wrong. This isn't the story of Shohei Ohtani's success. This is the story of everything he had to sacrifice before the world finally believed him. Long before television cameras followed his every move, before millions of fans wore his jersey, before baseball stadiums erupted every time he stepped onto the field, there was only silence. A quiet town surrounded by mountains, rice fields, and long winter mornings. This was Oshu, Japan. Not a city famous for producing sports superstars. Not a place where people expected history to begin. Yet, history had already arrived. Nobody knew it yet. Shohei was born on July 5th, 1994. His father, Toru Ohtani, had once dreamed of becoming a professional baseball player himself. But life had other plans. A shoulder injury ended those dreams. Many people would have walked away from baseball forever. He didn't. Instead, he placed a baseball into the hands of his young son, not knowing he had just changed the future of the sport itself. His mother, Kyoko, was a national-level badminton player. Quiet, disciplined, hardworking. Shohei inherited something from both of them. Not fame, not money, something far more valuable. Discipline, humility, and an obsession with becoming better every single day. While other children rushed home to watch cartoons, Shohei wanted only one thing. Another baseball. Another practice. Another chance to improve. He wasn't the loudest kid. He didn't crave attention. He rarely spoke about becoming famous. But inside, his dream was enormous. Every swing, every throw, every drop of sweat was preparing him for something nobody else could yet imagine. By middle school, people had already begun noticing something different. His pitches were faster. His swing was stronger. His work ethic, almost unbelievable. Coaches praised his talent. Opponents respected him. But even then, nobody saw what Shohei saw. Because Shohei wasn't trying. Most young athletes would have listened. Most would have accepted reality. Most would have changed their dream. Shohei Ohtani did something different. He quietly smiled, picked up the baseball, and kept working. Because sometimes the people who change history are simply the people who refuse to believe it's impossible. But what happened next would surprise everyone. At only 16 years old, Shohei created something so extraordinary that years later, millions of people around the world would study it. Not because it contained baseball secrets, but because it predicted his future, almost perfectly. And that simple piece of paper would become one of the most famous goal sheets in sports history. Some dreams stay inside your head. Others get written on paper. Most teenagers spend their high school years wondering what they want to become. Shohei Ohtani already knew. At just 16 years old, while most of his classmates were thinking about exams, friends, or weekend plans, Shohei was quietly designing a blueprint for the rest of his life. It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It wasn't even talent. It was a simple piece of paper that would later amaze millions around the world. Today, people call it the goal matrix. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Just a square filled with handwritten words. But hidden inside those boxes was the future. Not because Shohei could predict tomorrow, but because he understood something most people never do. Big dreams are achieved one small habit at a time. His ultimate goal was clear: become the best baseball player in the world. But instead of writing only that dream, he broke it into smaller battles. Improve his body, strengthen his mind, master baseball skills, build self-control, earn respect, lead by example, stay humble, never stop learning. Every box represented another. Fans would look back at that paper and realize something almost unbelievable. Many of those handwritten goals actually came true. But writing dreams on paper was the easy part. Living them would demand sacrifices that few teenagers were willing to make. While others enjoyed holidays, Shohei trained. When friends relaxed, he practiced. When everyone else slept, he recovered, preparing for another sunrise. Every day became another opportunity to move one step closer to a future nobody else could see. His dedication soon became impossible to ignore. Standing over 6 feet tall, throwing pitches faster than most adults, Shohei wasn't just another talented teenager anymore. He had become Japan's most exciting young baseball prospect. Scouts traveled across the country just to watch him play. Every game created more headlines. Every fastball raised more eyebrows. Then, one unforgettable moment changed everything. During high school, Shohei unleashed a fastball that reached nearly 99 miles per hour. For a teenager, it was almost unbelievable. News spread across Japan. The baseball world had discovered a phenomenon. But there was still one problem. Actually, the same problem had followed him since childhood. Everyone wanted him to choose. Pitcher or hitter? The baseball world simply refused to believe one player could dominate both. Professional coaches warned him. Scouts advised him. Experts questioned his decision. Some even believed chasing two dreams would cost him both. But Shohei never argued. He simply smiled, walked back onto the field. By the time Shohei Ohtani graduated from high school, Japan already knew his name. Sports newspapers called him the country's brightest young baseball prospect. Professional scouts filled the stands wherever he played. Every team wanted him. But Shohei wasn't thinking about becoming Japan's next baseball star. His eyes were fixed nearly 6,000 miles away. America, the home of Major League Baseball. For most Japanese players, the journey followed a familiar path. Play professionally in Japan, gain experience, then years later, try your luck in Major League Baseball. But Shohei wanted to skip all of that. He believed if his dream was to become the greatest player in the world, why wait? Why spend years wondering when he could challenge himself immediately? It was a bold decision. Some called it fearless. Others called it foolish. Many believed he was moving too fast. Even experienced baseball executives questioned whether an 18-year-old was ready for the toughest league on earth. Then, something unexpected happened. During the 2012 Nippon Professional Baseball Draft, the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters selected Shohei Ohtani. The entire baseball world was confused. Everyone knew Shohei wanted to leave for America. Many assumed he would reject the draft. Most players would have. But the fighters had a different plan. Instead of trying to stop his dream, they promised to help him achieve it. They didn't simply offer him a contract. They offered him something nobody else was willing to give. The chance to become both a pitcher and a hitter. It sounds normal today. Back then, it was revolutionary. Professional baseball had become a world of specialists. Pitchers pitched, hitters hit. Managers believed asking one player to master both roles was impossible. Some even warned it could destroy his career before it truly began. But the fighters saw something different. They didn't see a problem. They saw an opportunity. Shohei accepted their offer. It would become one of the most important decisions of his life. His professional career had officially begun. The pressure was enormous. Japan wasn't just watching another rookie. The entire country was watching an experiment. Every game became a test. Could one player really pitch at an elite level while also hitting home runs against professional pitchers? At first, the answer wasn't obvious. There were difficult days. There were mistakes. There were moments when critics believed. Fans arrived early just to watch batting practice. Then they stayed to watch him dominate on the mound. One player doing two jobs at the highest level in Japan. The baseball world was running out of reasons to doubt him. Then came another unforgettable moment. Shohei's fastball broke the 100-mile-per-hour barrier. He wasn't just throwing hard anymore. He was becoming one of the hardest throwers in Japanese baseball history. And when he stepped into the batter's box, pitchers couldn't relax. Because the same player who could strike you out could also send your next pitch deep into the stands. Japan had never seen anything quite like him. Neither had America. Soon, Major League Baseball teams began sending scouts across the Pacific Ocean. Not to evaluate an ordinary prospect, but to answer one impossible question. Was Shohei Ohtani truly good enough to change baseball forever? And before long, the biggest decision of his career had finally arrived. After years of dominating Japanese baseball, the dream Shohei Ohtani had carried since childhood was finally standing right in front of him. Major League Baseball. The biggest stage, the brightest lights, and the toughest competition the sport had to offer. For many players, reaching America is the dream. For Shohei, it was only the beginning. Because crossing the Pacific Ocean wasn't the hardest challenge. Keeping his dream alive was. Almost every major league team admired his talent. Scouts couldn't stop talking about his blazing fastball. Others were fascinated by the incredible power in his swing. But admiration wasn't the same as belief. Many organizations wanted Shohei, just not the Shohei he wanted to become. Some saw an elite pitcher. Others saw an elite hitter. Very few believed one player could truly become both. Once again, the baseball world presented him with the same choice it had been forcing on him since he was a teenager. Choose one. Pitcher or hitter. For most athletes, that decision would have been easy. For Shohei, it would have meant abandoning the dream he had spent his entire life protecting. He wasn't searching for the biggest contract. He wasn't looking for the most famous city. He wasn't chasing instant fame. He was searching for one thing: trust. A team willing to believe in what everyone else called impossible. Then, in December 2017, that team finally appeared. The Los Angeles Angels. They didn't promise him championships. They didn't promise him superstardom. They promised him something far more valuable: the opportunity to remain exactly who he was: a pitcher and a hitter. For the first time, Shohei felt someone truly believed in his dream. The decision was made. He was heading to America. The excitement was enormous. Japanese media followed his every move. American baseball fans were curious. Could this quiet young man really live up to the impossible expectations surrounding him? Or would baseball prove everyone else right? His first months in Major League Baseball answered that question quickly. Home runs, strikeouts, triple-digit fastballs. Game after game, Shohei wasn't just surviving. He was astonishing the baseball world. Fans who had doubted him were now buying his jersey. Commentators who questioned the experiment were running out of reasons to criticize. By the end of his rookie season, Shohei Ohtani was named the American League Rookie of the Year. The impossible dream was becoming reality. It seemed nothing could stop him now. But sometimes life tests you just when everything seems perfect. Behind the roaring crowds, behind the highlights, and behind every powerful swing, his body was quietly fighting a battle of its own. Pain, fatigue, small injuries that slowly became impossible to ignore. Then, the news every athlete fears finally arrived. A serious injury to the ligament in his throwing elbow. The diagnosis was devastating. Tommy John surgery. For many pitchers, it had ended. Could Shohei ever pitch the same way again? Should he finally give up hitting? Or give up pitching? The dream he had protected since childhood suddenly seemed to be slipping away. Rehabilitation wasn't glamorous. There were no cheering crowds, no flashing cameras, no standing ovations. Only empty training rooms, long hours, painful exercises, and endless repetition. Day after day, Shohei rebuilt his arm, his body, and perhaps most importantly, his belief. Every throw, every swing, every drop of sweat was another promise to himself. I will come back. Most players hope to return. Shohei prepared to become even better than before. And when he finally stepped back onto a major league field, the baseball world realized something extraordinary. The injury hadn't ended the experiment. It had strengthened it. Shohei wasn't simply back. He was becoming something baseball had never witnessed before. Today, when people hear the name Shohei Ohtani, they think about MVP awards, historic home runs, record-breaking contracts. But greatness isn't built on trophies alone. It's built in empty gyms, silent rehabilitation rooms, and lonely moments when nobody is watching. Shohei Ohtani didn't become extraordinary because life was easy. He became extraordinary because every time life asked him to give up, he quietly chose to keep believing. And soon, the entire baseball world would witness the greatest seasons of his remarkable career.